Number 3. Alex Willness. Constable Alex Young was a 20-year veteran of the Abbotsford, British Columbia Police Department. Before arriving in Canada from Scotland in 1997, Young was a member of the British Royal Navy. Young enlisted in the Navy when he was 16. He worked as a marine engineering mechanic until 1987 when he was about 22. At some point, he immigrated to Canada. He lived in Ontario and served with the Toronto Police Service starting in 2000. 4 years later, he moved west and became an officer with the Abbotsford Police. On July 16, 2020, 55-year-old Alex Young was eating and drinking with his wife at a restaurant in Nelson, British Columbia. Around 11:45 p.m., a group of men caused a disturbance, shouting vulgarities around the patio. Witnesses claimed the group was high as they staggered down the street. Young, who was off duty, had enough of the group and climbed over the patio's railing to confront the men. One of the men, 26-year-old Alex Willness, was shouting profanities with his friends. Young approached them and told them to stop. The exchange became heated. Willness hit Young in the torso with his skateboard and it stunned the 55-year-old man. With Young in a prone position, Willness struck him in the head with his skateboard. Young crumpled to the ground, hitting his head on the pavement. Willness then tried to run, but several people stopped him and held him until the police arrived. Paramedics rushed Young to the hospital for his injuries. Doctors said he had an open skull fracture. Young was still conscious, but became agitated, disoriented, and could not follow commands. He then lapsed into a coma. He was then put on life support. A CT scan showed that bleeding in the brain increased pressure on the skull. He was transferred to Kelowna General Hospital, which specialized in head injuries. Unfortunately, 55-year-old Alan Young died 5 days after the attack. Young's fellow officers were devastated by the news. He was very popular with his colleagues. He always had time for a laugh and a joke, Chief Constable Mike Sir said. Alan was never too busy for his friends and family, and there was nothing he wouldn't do to help. Alex Willness was charged with manslaughter. He pleaded not guilty, claiming self-defense. During his March 2023 trial, the court heard from doctors, eyewitnesses, and police officers. Willness showed remorse for his actions, admitting he should have walked away, but he maintained Young provoked the fight. At the time of the altercation, Willness was homeless and living on social assistance. He was crashing on friends' couches. He also spent many nights in Nelson's holding cells for drunken behavior. While testifying, Willness admitted to being an alcoholic since he was 18 and he was addicted to fentanyl. Over the years, Willness got into trouble with the law besides his drunken behavior. In February 2013, he served 2 weeks in jail and received 18 months probation for the assault of a peace officer, as well for a charge of mischief and 2 charges of breaching his court-ordered conditions. Later that year, he was convicted of impaired driving causing bodily harm. He was also charged for mischief in 2019 and 2020. On the day Young was killed, Willness had spent the day drinking vodka. He claimed that before the altercation, one of his friends sprayed him with pepper spray, causing him to be agitated. He also remembers bar patrons shouting and Young taking the first swing at him. But the conversation was hazy to him because of his intoxicated state. He said, "It happened so quick, so I don't remember exactly what happened, I just remember parts of it." He barely remembered police arresting him and kicking out a police car window. Prosecutors showed surveillance footage of Willness walking up to Young. In the video, Young throws the first punch, but misses. Then Willness struck him twice with a skateboard, once in the torso which stunned him, and then another shot to the head while Young was crouched over, which sent him crashing to the pavement. In June 2023, Willness was convicted of manslaughter. The Abbotsford Police Department released a statement on the judgment. "This has been a very long journey for family, friends, and colleagues. Although this does not bring closure, it is comforting to know that the person responsible has been held accountable. In January 2024, Willness was sentenced to 5 years of prison. Number 2. Jason Ryan Barnes. Around 9:15 a.m. on December 22, 2018, in Eureka, California, a laundromat employee intervened when he saw a man screaming at a woman in the parking lot. The employee heard the woman asking the man, 46-year-old Jason Barnes, to leave her alone. The woman was Desiree Henley, Barnes' former girlfriend. As the employee stood between Barnes and the woman, another man, 58-year-old Bernard Bertain, left his parked car to stand with the employee. Barnes became agitated and started swinging his skateboard like a baseball bat at the group. The laundromat employee evaded the swings, but Barnes struck Bertain on the left side of the torso. When Barnes swung again, Bertain caught the skateboard under his arm and tried punching back. Barnes then struck Bertain at least once more. Barnes fled the scene when the employee called the police. Bertain refused medical attention. He said, "He didn't hit me hard enough to do any damage." He even continued to do his laundry, but it was clear to others in the laundromat that he was in pain. For the next several days, Bertain told friends and family that his ribs may be broken. 3 days after the altercation, Bertain called 911. By the time the paramedics arrived, Bertain was unresponsive. 58-year-old Ben Bertain died on an emergency flight to the hospital around 3:40 a.m. on December 26, 2018. The medical examiner determined that Bertain died of a ruptured spleen due to an expanding hematoma caused by blunt force trauma to the torso. According to the report, Bertain had a clotted mass the size of a soccer ball. Bertain's family told the police he had been in a fight, and the police opened an investigation. The police questioned Jason Barnes in late 2018. Barnes admitted he hit Bertain with his skateboard. Barnes also said he was upset that he had died. The police continued their investigation for the next few months. On July 15, 2018, the police arrested Jason Barnes, who was already in prison for an unrelated crime. They charged him with second-degree murder. He was also charged with attacking the laundromat employee. Barnes pleaded not guilty and he was held without bail. Jason Barnes went to trial in April 2021. During the trial, the judge acquitted Barnes of second-degree murder and voluntary manslaughter. So the jury was to consider if Barnes was guilty or not guilty of involuntary manslaughter and assault with a deadly weapon. Barnes' defense lawyer argued that Bertain had underlying health issues that may have caused his death. His lawyer pointed out that according to the medical report, Bertain had severe lung disease and heart disease, and there was methamphetamine in his system. He suggested that the paramedic may have caused injuries when resuscitating Bertain. The testifying doctor shot that down, saying Bertain's spleen ruptured from the attack. After 2 days of deliberation, the jury found that Barnes caused great bodily harm, used a deadly weapon, and convicted him of involuntary manslaughter. On November 4, 2021, Barnes was sentenced to 4 years in prison. Barnes is currently not listed on the California Incarcerated Records and Information Search database, so he is not incarcerated in California at the time of this video. Number 1. Joshua Stroman. Around 12:44 a.m. on December 12, 2021, police responded to a call of a homeless person lying on the Oakland, California sidewalk. When the police arrived, the man was dead. He was 40-year-old Kenyon Graham. He died after being struck in the head several times. The person who called 911 didn't leave his name. The police reviewed surveillance footage from the area. They saw a man walk up to Graham, who was sleeping, and bash him several times in the head with a skateboard. The attack was completely unprovoked. The police also traced the phone that was used to call 911. The footage and the trace led them to 36-year-old Joshua Stroman. 10 days after the brutal murder, the police arrested Stroman a few blocks from the crime scene. Stroman confessed to the murder. The police said that the two men knew each other but didn't release a motive. The victim, Kenyon Graham, first showed signs of mental illness when he was 10 years old, and he was placed in psychiatric care. Doctors diagnosed him with bipolar paranoid schizophrenia. As a child, Graham was violent with his sister. As an adult, he was ordered to stay away from his mother after a violent outburst where he pulled her down a flight of stairs by her hair. His mental health deteriorated even more after his father's death in 2017. After his father's death, the police responded to 24 incidents involving Graham. Despite this, neighbors still cared for him and wanted him to get help. He spent years on the street, bouncing between homeless shelters, mental health programs, and jail. Residents knew him for screaming at nothing or no one in particular and attempted to get him help. They attended his court hearings, phoned and emailed local politicians, and signed a petition hoping to give Graham the long-term care he needed. These efforts failed, and Graham stayed on the street. The police charged Joshua Stroman with Graham's murder. This incident wasn't the first time Stroman attacked someone with a skateboard. 6 months earlier, on June 25, 2021, Stroman was arrested after an unprovoked attack at a Palo Alto homeless shelter. In this incident, Stroman was conversing with a man in his 40s, and without warning, Stroman attacked the man with his skateboard. The man received a 1-inch cut on his forehead. The police arrested Stroman 4 days later. In this case, the presiding judge released Stroman on the condition that he meet with a supervisor. However, Stroman stopped showing up for the meetings around November. A month later, he killed Kenyon Graham with a skateboard. It's unclear what happened to Joshua Stroman after he was charged. There is no record of his trial. He's also not listed in the California Department of Corrections Rehabilitation Database or the Alameda County Sheriff Department's database, so his current status is unknown. Thank you so much for watching today's video. And now here's a short clip from 3 Nostradamus predictions that could happen in 2024 from our sister channel, Paranormally Listed. Before we get into this entry, we want to say that this was written before the deadly Sea of Japan earthquake on January 1st, 2024. We decided to include this entry because it's about a possible famine after a tsunami, and not just a tsunami. We also think it contains possibly important information about the fragility of life. Nostradamus wrote, "Very great famine through pestiferous wave." If, like us, you didn't know what pestiferous means, Merriam-Webster defines it as dangerous to society. Many people believe that this line means a giant tsunami will cause devastating damage, leading to famine. Is this possible? Well, it nearly happened in 2004. On December 26, 2004, there was a 9.1 magnitude earthquake between the Burman and Indian plates, 18 miles below the surface of the Indian Ocean. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, it released the energy equivalent of 23,000 Hiroshima-type atomic bombs. It created waves that reached 167 feet in height. The tsunami slammed into 14 countries. If you want to watch the rest of this video, there should be a link on the screen now, and then there's also a link in the description box below this video. Once again, thank you so much for watching today's video.